Okay, in the history of American law, you get some pretty strange cases. But then, there's this one. A case where the key witness wasn't just sworn in on a Bible, she was, well, summoned from beyond the grave. This is the absolutely wild and 100% true story of the Greenbrier Ghost. It sounds like a question from a campfire story, right? Can a ghost actually point the finger at its own killer and have a court of law actually listen? That is the unbelievable, mind-bending question at the very heart of this entire story.
And you might not believe it, but the answer a jury gave way back in 1897 was a definite yes. A man was put on trial, found guilty, and sentenced for murder, all because of what his dead wife's ghost had to say.
So this whole case really boils down to two completely different versions of events. You've got the husband's official account on one side, and on the other, a terrifying accusation delivered straight from the afterlife. Now, according to the husband, his young wife's death was just a terrible tragedy, but totally natural. He said she just passed away from a sudden heart attack. It was a simple, clean story, and at first, nobody really had a reason to question it. Let's look at these two stories right next to each other. On the left, the husband's claim, a quiet, natural death. On the right, the ghost's horrifying story, told to her own mother. She was murdered, strangled to death by her husband in a moment of fury. Now, this wasn't just some fleeting vision or a bad dream. The spear was persistent. She was absolutely determined to be heard, and her story came out over 4 straight nights of haunting that would change absolutely everything. So for 4 nights in a row, the ghost of the dead woman appeared at her mother's bedside. And each night, the visits got more intense, more desperate. It started out as just a faint image, but by the end, it was a full, detailed account of her own murder. The ghost wasn't vague about it either. She was specific. The message she gave her mother was a direct, chilling accusation against her husband. And that's a statement a grieving mother just couldn't ignore. So, armed with this testimony from a ghost, the mother demanded that something be done. Her persistence is what pushed this story from a private haunting into the hands of the authorities, taking them from a graveyard right into a courtroom. After the mother pleaded with them over and over, completely convinced by her daughter's ghostly visits, the authorities did something pretty radical. They agreed to exhume the body to see if there was any physical evidence that could possibly back up this supernatural claim. And what they found was a shocker. The autopsy completely destroyed the husband's story about a heart attack. The physical evidence told a much more violent story. Her neck had been broken. It seemed the ghost had been telling the truth all along. Okay, so now that the ghost story was backed up by actual forensic proof, the case jumped from the world of folklore into the cold, hard reality of the justice system. With the story now confirmed by the autopsy, the husband was arrested and charged with murder. I mean, can you just imagine standing in front of a jury, knowing that the main testimony against you came from the spirit of the very person you're accused of killing? And in a verdict that has gone down in legal history, the jury found him guilty. It is still the only known case in the United States where testimony from a ghost, relayed through a living witness and then confirmed by an autopsy, helped convict someone of murder. So this leaves us with a huge question, doesn't it? Did justice really speak from beyond the grave? Or was this all just a mother's intuition, a deep suspicion that her subconscious turned into a ghost story that just happened to be tragically, horribly correct? The court made its decision, but it really makes you wonder about the thin line between evidence, belief, and the unexplained.